Good morning, researchers. Let me begin with a request to all of you, to everybody. Um, Please take advantage of this chance and make the rest of the morning worthwhile. Learning happens only when you allow it to happen. So I'm hoping that all of us will be able to use this opportunity to learn. All right. Now, allow me to start then. Usually, we start working with our rationale. We start writing a rationale. As perceived, we had a hard time constructing our own chosen topic, and we had a difficult time understanding even our chosen topic to the extent that we understood our topic differently and realized on the latter part. Why? Because we did not start getting to know our topic, or we did not deep dive to the topic. That's why we have the new CMO that is addressing the new normal, that FS students are expected to read a lot of professional readings and a lot of literatures, perhaps, for you to enhance and discover a lot in terms of your topic. Now, for the student interns, they're expected to come up with an action research or classroom-based action research. Now, if you are guilty about it, so do I. And I also, many neophyte researchers experience the same. Guided researchers, on the other hand, begin reading and reviewing the literature that supports their ideas, topics, or area of focus. Let me highlight the term. They begin reading and reviewing the literature. That is why we will begin the review of related literature, or the journey, as I have entitled it, because we're gonna go through to a journey this morning. All right, in terms of doing our review of related literature. Now, this presentation is designed to tell you something about what a literature review is, why you might need one to write, why you need to write one, and how to do so. So, are we ready now to learn? All right, there you go. Now, let me invite you to the idea that a literature review provides you with a starting point, a direction, and a destination. A literature review provides us where to start, where we are heading, and what would be our destination. So let's dive in to understand it further. A literature review is a survey of scholarly sources on a specific topic. It provides an overview of the current state of the research on the topic by analyzing the relevant studies. And those studies, it looks for the important theories and methods applied. And it seeks to point out where that research is lacking or could be improved upon. As part of a longer piece of research, since it's going to be part of our chapters in our paper, it's there to ensure you that you have a thorough understanding of the existing research in your area of focus before to embark on your own. So this is like an assurance that you know what you're talking about. You know where this topic is heading, all right, before you start. That's why it is a starting point. Now, what are the literatures that we must read? What are these professional readings that we're talking about, sir? All right, since you said, sir, na we will read professional readings. So what are these professional readings? Now, the review of related literature consists of two collections or pertinent of reading published and published in local or foreign setting. We have two categories, or we have two parts. The first part is what we call professional or conceptual literature. Kung sa may pasabot ana, sir, these are non-research reference materials written by authorities on the subject that embody experiences, viewpoints, and interpretation of the subject of the research study. These are published materials like books, journals, magazines, and pamphlets. All right? So these are what we call professional or conceptual literature, the books that we are reading, the e-books, for example. While on the other side, mo ni atong usual na gamiton. We call it related studies. These are published materials like thesis, no, research reports, seminar papers, dissertations, and have bearing on the research study that you're going to undertake. All right, so we have two types of that. We have two categories. Okay, and then these two categories have a spectrum in terms of your different topics. Okay, so dili lang di ay related studies, sir. We can also look into the books that we're reading. Yes, exactly. We call them professional and conceptual literature. Now that you know that we have two categories, the question is in your mind right now is, what is the best way to search this literature, sir? What are we going to do? Number one, we have to identify the area of focus. All right? Number one is to identify our area of focus. Now, your topic, when we say area of focus, is going to be your topic. Then after, we develop the list of keywords that is related to the topic as our number two. So we have area of focus, and then after that, we develop now this time, all right, keywords related to that. For example, my area of focus is oral communication in the higher education, and my another focus is language assessment. All right, so those are my two focus, or my area of focus, my topic. So I develop keywords related to those area of focus. All right, I wrote here oral communication, verbal communication, public speaking or speaking. I also noted here tertiary education because that could be a keyword. I also note language assessment or language testing. So with my area of focus, I have now my keywords. So that's the first part of the journey. Write the area of focus and then develop the keywords. And later on, I will tell you how you're going to use that. All right, the next problem is, sir, where should we search on it? All right, so we have several free search engines that are reliable. One of those is Google Scholar. We also have JS2OR. We have also R Discovery, and we also have ProQuest, but there are a lot of more. And these are free engines, okay, that we can use for us to, to search on the topics that we're looking into. All right. So this is like a portal. More sa upultahan. When you search there, it will lead you to different studies. Okay. The principle behind here is that stand on the shoulders of giants. That's the embedded principle here. Now, how can we stand on the shoulders of giants? By searching and accessing their studies. All right? So these are the common one. And then reliable one. In our end, as a researcher in the undergraduates, what I mean in undergrad is that we can use this free search engines, free portals. All right? So nabalaan na nato. I know the next concern here is, how are we going to search, sir? Usually, we copy the title and paste it in the search bar. All right, then voila, you have many studies already. However, my dear researchers, that is not a smart move. Okay, that is not the smart move. Instead, you can use the Boolean operators to help you narrow down your search. Remember, there are a lot of studies. So our job is to narrow down it so that mas dali na ito mapangita, right? Okay, so how are we going to use that? We will add and in a campus lock form to find sources that contain more than one keyword. For example, daghan yung keywords, okay? And then pari-pariha. Another one, we use OR to find sources that contain one of a range of synonyms. For example, kana bitaw mga studies nga, mga title or keywords na pari-pariha lang. It's just that synonyms lang siya sa katungas ng word. So we're gonna use OR, okay, when we search on it. And then we can use also not to exclude resulting contains on a certain terms. For example, I am searching on technology, I'm searching on Apple, for example, and then when I type in, ang kasagaran mo gawas kay Apple nga fruit. So you can put not there to exclude it, no? To make a point na clear ang imuhang gi-research. Okay? So that's what we call Boolean operators. Now let's go back to the keywords that I have made a while ago. So that's why I put OR, I put and, I put not, so that mas madali ang ako ang pag-search. It becomes easy for me to look for the studies that the studies that I need for my study. No? So those are the things that we're going to do. The principle behind it is that, remember, we have to work smart. Okay? We have to work smart. So now, after searching, we have now several studies, for example. I have searched, for example, the title, Oral Communication, the Workplace Needs and Uses of Business Graduates and Employees. So what I will do now is to first see the title. Okay, the title is good. It looks like related to my study. All right. And then the next thing I have to do is to look at the cited by portion. Kanabit ang cited by, yan ay number, to check the credibility of the paper in one glance. For example, if taas kayo nag-number, therefore a lot of people searched and used it or cited them. Therefore, the paper in one glance, you can figure out, that's credible. A lot of people is using it. Okay, now if that checks on the first glance, this time you're gonna check and read the paper. However, researchers, do not read yet the entire paper. You have no time for that. Save it for what matters most. So quick tip, read the abstract only. If the abstract will answer and relate to your study, then that's the time you're going to read the entire paper. All right, so it saves your time. Okay, now, after reading the paper, okay, feel naman, okay na sis, so you read the paper. After reading the paper, you can go to the references and check for related studies there. So no need na ka bumalik sa search engine, just go down to the references because they might have a lot of studies as well that is related from what you are talking about or what you are studying about. So you can go to the references and use them. See, if we are just strategic, then we can save much of our reading time. This time, sir, how can we organize our initial RRL? All right? The metaphor here is that we are like making our reservoir of sources. More than nagbuhat og aparador, no? Is that we are making our sources, put them all together, and then that we might need, all right, now, or we might need it later as we write. Okay, so dili man tanan natong nabasa, kailangan na nato karon nga moment. There are times that later part pa na ako siya magamit. But ibutang lang siya. Okay? So in the graduate school, we were taught to make a literature matrix. Maybe you have made already a literature matrix. In the literature matrix, this is like a life-saving idea because in the matrix we have title and authors. We write the title and the authors. We write the purpose of the study and the methodology. We also write the results, findings, and the ideas. And then we write the citations. And then sometimes in the citations, we also include at the bottom part the URL of the study that you have searched para dili na ka mag-download daghan, mapuno imong desktop or imong laptop. Just get the URL para if you need to read further on that, you just clicked it and then you go redirected to the study that you're looking for. Okay, so it looks like that. Now, if you notice, we included insights. Insights there is like your realization, like your voice in the study. Sometimes, atong buhaton is just get, nice man pagka-line, kuhaon ako ibutang dire. Alright? Without getting insights, no? But when we do that, the tendency would be, is just that we copy it. But we did not give our own voice on it. So what are we going to do is that, make our insights, we can use that in our evaluation, we can use that in our analysis, at least nasabtan ninyo what you are reading. Okay? Nakinasabtan from what you have read. Usually, copy, and then that's it. That's why we don't appreciate it. But if we make an insight, we give an insight, this could help us to, digest more what we are reading. So we do not copy the entire thing. Instead, we copy what matters most. That's the principle behind. We do not copy the entire thing because we're gonna ma-overwhelm dayon ta. But instead, we copy what matters most. Okay? So you can do it in Excel or Word document. For example, in my case, I usually have that in Word document. Like I use that in the Google document. Well, ServerNow usually have it in Excel form. So it depends on your preference, as long as you can be able to make a literature matrix. Okay? Now, for you to visualize it, it looks like this. Alright? Wala kang dagdag mga ano ba? If you try to visualize, it looks like this, no? This is a new idea represents a study that you have read and gathered. Just collect them all. We're not writing here yet, ha? We're just collecting first all the ideas, all the researches, putting all of them together. Okay? Maray nga na to visualize it in your mind. Pero gi-organize na to. Right. Now, finally, for example, nahuman na ta og make sa atong literature matrix. Let's have our reflective attitude this time. Because as a researcher, we also need to become reflective. Okay? Now look at your matrix. What is the gap? Okay? Now you want to start thinking about what is your evaluation of the relevant sources shows. You're looking for the identifiable trends in the literature. What are these trends, sir? Okay, this could be the themes that come up often, kanang pabalik-balik. Maybe you can see an ongoing debates from scholar A to scholar B, all right? And then laylain sila og idea. And then you might be look to the gaps in the research. When you encounter disagreements between different scholars, for example, scholar A disagree with scholar B, okay, consider whether the issue they have disagree seems able na resolve na ba, or it merits further investigation. So tanawon nimo, if si scholar A, scholar B ay ilang issue na resolve ba? If wala, you may now that could be the possible gap that you're gonna try to fill in on that particular idea. Okay? So to identify these gaps in research, look at what researchers suggest as possible areas for further research, or consider where the different sources disagree. Another one, when you encounter kanabitang particular article or book that is frequently cited, pirmi siya balik-balikon, you can assume it's a pivotal publication for the subject. For example, siyang sikat, no? Siyang star anang topic. For example, if you search more about first language, you might meet the star there, Noam Chomsky. Maybe you search more on the second language acquisition, you might be meet there Stephen Krashen as a star, no? Kanang balik-balikon. So makamit ka dito ug mga tao nga sikat anang nga topic. Okay, kanang sikat anang nga particular topic. Okay, now let's visualize it. It looks like this. Katoy yung mga study nga nakitaan ganina, inyo na siya i-grupo-grupo. Okay, new idea 1, new idea 2, new idea 3, new idea 4, na for example, and then look for the possible gaps. Okay, let's have it in a research context. For example, let's say we're reviewing the literature on the relationship of social media with body image issues. Okay, we notice the trend that most of the research in this area, based on yung pagtanaw sa inyong literature matrix, we notice that the trend that most research in this area is focused on young women. And then we also note that the interest in the visual aspects of social media is increasing over time. However, we also see relatively little research has been done in highly visual platforms like Instagram or Snapchat, for example. Diba? So, grabe ang interest natin in social media in terms of, for example, in body images, no? Issues. However, sa katong mga sikat na platform, gamay ra ang research. This represents a noteworthy research gap. There is a clear interest in a particular phenomenon, body image issues using social media, but insufficient research on the two of the famous, for example, application or site about visual pictures, images, videos, where this phenomenon plays out. So this is a gap that you could research. That you could fill in for that matter. Okay? So after answering that, naka-answer na kasi mong mind, ask yourself again, return to your goal and focus. Is it worthwhile to investigate? Okay ba siya ipadayon? Kaya kung dili, okay, look for another way around. ayaw ipadayon. If dili, stop on that moment and read again. If okay na, then mo proceed na tadayon. Okay? I hope that making things clear now this time. This time, we have now a direction because we're able now to look at it man, another direction. Okay. This time, we're going to write. This is the writing time. Okay, we're gonna write a review of related literature as a chapter. So let's have another reflective attitude before ta magsulat. Kaya kung magsulat na tayo, wala pa ta nag-reflect, the tendency would be, okay, we will come up with a chapter nga dili mao. Alright, so examine your literature matrix. Gamiton balik ang literature matrix and determine the best approach for organizing your RRL chapter. One more time, what would be my best approach, sir, sa pagsulat? Ganiha, nag-collect na ta. This time, ato na siyang isulat. We're gonna put them into the chapter. Okay, sir, how can we do that? Ladies and gentlemen, researchers, literature review follows basic structure. Usually, okay, like the most academic writing, it has an introduction, body, and conclusion. Magina. Lagi siya always, okay? Nasa introduction, body, and conclusion. Now, the key choice you have to make in terms of structure, ang structure na to ang pilianan is how will you organize your discussion in the body part. Kung saan ako pag-organize ako ang body part, okay? That's the question that you're going to answer. Now, we have different approaches. Number one, you can choose a chronological approach. Evolves tracing the development of your topic over time. Try to avoid, this is like putting all the years, no? However, try to avoid just listing your studies in chronological order. Rather, identify trends and turning points and explain how different studies fit into that particular timeline. Maybe take thematic approach, okay? You'll organize your review based on a selection of themes within your topic, okay? Showing how these themes have been connected from one another. Basing dili ko ganahan sa themes. Basing ganahan ka of methodological. Maybe appropriate if your topic has been approached with a variety of methods. Now you want to trace how these different methods have been applied and what conclusions have emerged from different approaches. Basta kini nga topic, kay lain siya nga method nga gi-discuss. Na ay qualitative, for example, na ay quanti, for example. So you can use that as well. Or you can do a theoretical. You can do something similar with a theoretical structure, showing how different theoretical approaches have been applied rather than methods. Okay? So, reminder lang, okay? Choose the framework that suit your topic best. Dili kayo sa ganahan nimo, but what is really fitted to the topic that you have in your body. Organize it by time, organize it by theme, or organize it by methodology, or organize it by theoretical approach. However, class, you can combine different structure. For example, theme ako pero inside my theme, for example, in my paragraph, inside my theme, I arrange it by time as well. So you can combine approaches for that matter. Okay, but before you start writing, try to draw a rough line or outline of your structure. Kini sa study 1, study 2, ako na silang iuban. Study 3, study 4, ari na sa second paragraph. Study 5, ari na siya. So, in your mind, mas maklear, asa na ako ipamutang. Okay? Para na kay daan, na kay blueprint sa imong mind. Okay? So, after that, you're ready now to start your writing. Okay, handa ka nang magsulat. Alright, so your introduction establishes the purpose of the review. And the body directly discusses the literature. Maybe divided into many sections depending on the structure that you decide. Okay, maybe natay mga 5 ka, let's say, body or paragraphs. Okay, and then in the conclusion, summarizing the key findings. Let's have a look at each of the parts. Okay, for the introduction, explain what led to the investigation and why it is important. Okay, in the introduction class, we put the reason why it is important to investigate that. Okay? For example, in my introduction, I wrote, furthermore, to comprehend the significance of E3 assessment in the development of spoken language performance. So I want to investigate if I could link E3 assessment in developing the oral communication of the students. So I want to investigate if I can pin them together, or if they could possibly be a relationship. So that's my reason why I want to investigate it. Now, if you notice also that in my introduction, I write the four primary themes. Okay? For example, I chose thematic. Now, I wrote here four themes which help me to organize my body, and it also helped me or the readers uh, to understand better as what are they going to expect in the body part. So how the way I arrange the primary themes here would also be reflected in how the way I write below. So mas organized imong mind. Pabasa pa lang sa intro, nakaibaw na si reader, nakaibaw na sad ka ikaw sa writer, na mao ni ako ang gusto padulngan, mao ni ang mga parts ako ang body. So in the introduction, it has to be clear there. Now, in the body part, our job is to report what others have found or through about the research problem. Next to that is related studies are usually discussed together and grouped under subheads. And then third, if that is a major study, describe it more detail, while less important work can be referred in just a line or two. Okay? So, for example, my subhead is oral communication in the academic industry. For example, so kanako ang subhead. So, tanang studies under anang paragraph are related to oral communication in the academic industry. So, I use, for example, I put research by Palmer and Dublin 2020, Shan in 2011, and Salamonson et al. In 2019. Sila na ang magkauban because they are talking about oral communication in the academic industry. So, that could be a way on how you put your body. Next, another one is, for example, there are several studies reported similar results or authors with similar standpoint. So, sa ibuhato na to, sir, you can synthesize them, you can put them all together, okay, so that it would look easy for you as a writer. It would also give idea to the readers, panels, and evaluators that you really understood what you are writing. Okay? Na nagbasa jud ka, wala na rin magibabutang, but you can put them all together. Like, for example, Connelly and Swain, Bunchman and Palmer, I said there, all of them believe that communicative competence should include knowledge of grammar, appropriate discourse, the cultural background of the audience or receiver, and the strategy when a communication problem arises. So since all of them believe, so I put them all together in a synthesized statement or let's say sentence. Okay, now, most of us, what we do is, we have our topic sentence in the paragraph, and then, mungopya na tadayon sa, mag-cite tadayon ta sa author. And then that's it. Alright? So that's good. Is it good? Of course, it is not. Alright? So when you read, ingan ang forma, it looks like copy and a copy and a copy. Mura siya, nanguha lang ka, ibutang na ni mo diha, nanguha, ibutang ni mo diha, and that's it. That's not review of related lit. Okay? So sa ibuhato na mo, sir, after you identify your topic sentence, you'll need to back it up with citations. For example, in this example, Grabe, Warden, Height is your backup citation. Alright? After that, you will give your critical evaluation. Alright? You will also have to put your own voice for that matter. So as a result, your paragraph now combines the voices of the other authors and your own voice. Then, you'll understand what you are talking about. Okay? So for in this way, for example, like findings, and then at the latter part, you also give your evaluation, your assessment, your analysis on that particular one. Okay, so meaning voice sa mga authors, and voice nimo as a writer for that particular study. Now, sir, asa man namo nang pangita? Remember na kay insight in your literature matrix, you can use that as one of your voices. Also, to make your body coherent, dapat connected. Paragraph 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3, paragraph 4, dapat connected. I call them body 1, body 2, body 3. So we can use transitional devices. For example, consequently, furthermore, meanwhile, and there has to be connected from one another. Body 1, body 2, body 3. Okay? So you may use transitional devices as you write. Now, this time, mag-end na ta sa ato ang literature review. So, sa may buhato na mo, sir, the first thing is tie together the main threads revealed in the literature review. So, tanang mga inyo nakitaan nga mga findings per paragraph, inyo na siyang tapukon. Okay? Inyo na siyang idugtong-dugtong. And then, afterwards, you're gonna, based on the state of knowledge revealed in the literature, what does the literature suggest as an appropriate course of action to try to solve a certain problem? For example, in my conclusion, this chapter look a variety of variables. It's summarized with all the following ideas and every theme. Oral communication skills are one of the essential proficiencies required for higher education and future jobs. However, there is a significant disconnect between academic and industrial expectations for graduates' communication abilities. This is due to the way the skill is being taught or evaluated, for example. Teaching communication tertiary education exemplified contextualized and localized teaching practices, and so on and so forth. Now, as a result, the researcher wants to find a new language assessment instrument to help our future professionals improve their oral communication skills. So after nato na magdugtong-dugtong ang mga findings, now you try to end it with what could be the possible solution. What could be your possible action to take? All right. That is now the best way to summarize and end your review of Relatedly. Okay, let's move on to some tips. For example, class, citing the authors is not enough. For example, gikopya nato, gibutang nato din sa itong paper, it's not enough. We need to paraphrase it. Now, paraphrasing is a skill, all right? We need to know that by ourselves. How can we paraphrase a certain statement? However, to make our job easy, we can use some application which are free, like Killbot. Now, for example, these are free. Just use it, copy the line that you wanted to cite, put in the Killbot, and then click the rephrase, and automatically it will be rephrased. However, just take note to read it one more because it might try to check if katong pasabot ni author same bagihapon diri sa imong paraphrase, because remember that's a computer, and we need to, as an author, understand as well kung sakto ba na iyahang gisuwat diha. So you can still change, but at least it will make your job easy. Mas mapadali ang imuhang trabaho. Correct? Alright, so you can use this particular tool. Another one is citing your sources properly. Initially, we have to read different styles in citations. One that we're using now is APA, the 7th edition. Take note, ha? APA 7th edition. Okay, so my suggestion first is to read what is APA. Okay, para na kay knowledge. Alright, how to do that. Now, kung kaybaw na kaana, we can use now CiteFast as one of the example to make our job easy. Okay, so we can use an application. For example, I wanted to cite findings of Dr. Zarate in her study English proficiency via effects in social media. So I want to use her findings in my literature review. So what I'm going to do is that go to the CiteFast and then click journal, for example, and then click manual, and then I can now write all the details I need. After reading, save citation na dayon. It will give you in text, kana bitang-ibutang nato sa paragraph, and then also it will give you citation, it will give you references, no, para mabutang nimo sa ending part. Okay, so that could help you to make your job easy. We have a lot more. We have Mendeley, all right, you can use them all as one of examples. All right. Now, imagine we are done writing. We have reached our destination. Then, I would like you to ask yourself another reflection. After ninyo nabasa, after ninyo na-read, nasuwat, is this what I really want to contribute in the body of knowledge or to the practice? If the answer is yes, you're doing a great job. Thank you, researchers. I hope I was able to share something. Good morning.